Hello. So I've been playing a whole lot of Ready or Not. This game is so it can be really fun, but also I think really frustrating. This game will definitely make you rethink your entire loadout, where you're going, and how you go about things. Because I took a break from it. Yeah, I was playing some other games, and then I never finished the main story. I guess the main story missions, and so I went back, and I was getting absolutely demolished. Every corner, every just forgetting how to play, and just everything was just. It was a really, really tough learning experience, but I just kept playing, and I started to have a little bit more fun playing and rethinking a lot of my my decisions and how I go about things trying to play the game, and like to try to utilize the AI teammates who are really good at. I would say that the AI teammates in this are so snappy. They're they cover you. They move pretty well. They're always watching your back, and handcuffing and picking up evidence. They do a really good job of that. I think my only complaint with them is when I'll go through a door and it's like a smaller room, and I have them kind of trailing behind me, and I want to turn around and kind of have to play like that old snake game that people used to have on their mobile phone, where I have to just go and circle the room just so I can get out, because they can like body block you, and it kind of sucks. This game is with the AI and the different teams. You have your red team and your blue team, each just consisting of two per team, and then yourself, of course. It can be a little jarring, trying to pick pick your team. It's just holding R1 and then left, and then and then it's like it's not working because you're not looking at it right. This game was made for PC. This is a PC game, and even though it's a first person shooter, and you are it's they have it for console. It's a very like the amount of menus and options that you have. It's very, you could tell that it was really set up for PC with the amount of menus and stuff, which is cool. To have so many options. It's just it can be really difficult with your just your controller with all the menus, and then shouting commands at people with X, but then also trying to move in the room, and then then checking, and it's just such a like kind of like a pat your stomach, or rub your stomach and pat your head. It's just kind of can be like that sometimes. So you really have to take time to get to know that system, and but it's really fun. It reminds me of I'm glad that there is a tactical shooter like this with AI, AI teams that you have on your side, AI companions. That's something I haven't seen since Rainbow Six, like the old Rainbow Six games, that used to come out on Xbox, and they would have you, and then you'd have your two, you'd have your teams, and you'd go and clear room by room, and just this giant like terrorist hunt in a story. Then you had Rainbow Six Vegas, which for me, like, it really started to jump up with how cool it was. But it feels like this is like, I'm glad that there's still people out there making games like this, to where you have really like they did such a good job with the AI team. I think they did a good job. Like, they did a phenomenal job with them. I never felt that they were dumb or they didn't cover anything well. They did their job really well, and you know, I never really felt that they would get hung up or anything like that. It's just, I think, just the nature of it. I think they did a really good job for what where they're at. But this is a fun game, and for those who love, just really slowed down tactical shooters. This is not a run and gun. This isn't a jump and 360 no scope type game. This is a very slow, like very walking pace type of game, which is awesome. And I had such a great time just playing through the campaign. It was difficult for me, just because of just the amount of some levels are timed, and so you really have to push really fast into those levels, and then you're considering your equipment that you're taking, and then your AI teammates, or you could go solo if you want. And so they have that option. It's just I prefer to have the teammates, even though it's like it could be a lot to juggle. It really fills out. I feel it really fills the game out a little more to, and I'm staring at the ground because I had to, I have to look at the ground sometimes to get them to fall in behind me. But it can be a little jarring sometimes just to try to get the teams where I want them. And that's just about my only frustrating part is just with that, but it's really not a problem. It's not really anything I would, think that this game it hurts the game in any way. It is what it is, and I enjoy it. Even though I'm looking down to try to get people, or he gets in front of me or whatever. There's some little like things that you can nitpick in this game, but it's such a solid game. I didn't think that it was terrible. It runs really well on PS5. I didn't have too many problems. No crashes or no bugs or crashes that I felt. I know that was a problem originally on PC. I know it was probably early access, and so by the time they released it on console, it was a little better condition. But since I've played, I haven't had any problems, and so I've enjoyed it. You could tell this is meant to be played with people. That just because the amount of voice communication that you'll use can really make things a lot easier. When you're talking and communicating with people. But for people like me who just, have kids screaming in the background, or, just it's really loud, or I'm trying to listen for the oven or the microwave or whatever, so I have to it's just, it's just playing with AI is just a little simpler for me. And and then I can pause the game whenever I want. And if I have to take care of something, that's just kind of how I game, I guess. Especially during the day, if I have the time to play during the day, I will. But I'm mainly a nighttime gamer. But even then, I still try to. I still have to keep it down. There's people sleeping, so I'm a nighttime gamer for sure. But in the daytime when I can play, it's just so busy. Just playing with AI is just a lot simpler. But plus, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this game as it is with the AI. I want to see more. I only have I have the two DLCs. I don't know. I haven't looked into what they plan on doing in the future with this game. If they do more, I'm totally here for it. They do a next, season with more DLC, or maybe they're kind of done. Maybe I don't know if it sold well enough to continue to push, but I'm definitely here, and I enjoyed it. I think consoles, I can see why they're kind of starved for games like this. It's just they don't, especially games with you have AI like this with as many options as you have. It can it can slow down the gameplay, and when you have some of these timed missions, it can be frustrating when you're playing with AI. Other than that, you'd be playing by yourself, but then you would have to use the riot shield, or it's just the requirement can be a little strange, I guess. Because if you're trying to say there's a hospital mission and then they have bombs there, then you have to like push every single room, and you have to look over it to make sure you get every single civilian, and every single bad guy, whoever it is, and then you just push, and just which makes sense. I mean, they're adding to the stress of having to push and go faster, but with AI, it can be like a little give and take, and it's not levels that I enjoyed personally. I like the stress of it, because it was like, oh, I have to do this fast, but using AI, like, okay, hold R1, left. No, that's okay. Yeah, left, and then it's like gold team, blue team. I'm like, I'm trying to get to red. It's like, and it's just not doing it. It could kind of suck, but when it works, this game really works well. I don't honestly know what they could do better when it comes to that. I think that's just with the amount of options and the teams and stuff like that. It's just the nature of it. So it's not really much you could do about that. But I enjoy it, even though it's as complicated as it is. It's still so much fun. I still have a great time doing it. I still enjoy it. But this is definitely like if you have the choice of getting this on PC, it's definitely a PC game. If you're playing with AI, with the AI companions on here, the AI teammates. If you're playing with real people, I don't think it really matters. But it is a solid game, and the options that you have with the guns, the customization, just attachments, really. You can't change the color or anything like that because of the just the type of realism that they're going for here, which is it's just totally fine. There's a lot of great weapons, and this is the game where they have so much. Like you can go with any weapon setup that you want. I'm using the beanbag shotgun in one, or normal buckshot, or the AR platforms, or just pretty much whatever. And I really enjoyed it. I would like to see more from these guys. I would like to see a Ready or Not 2 or Ready or Not, a new set of DLC. I think so far I've played the Home Invasion DLC, which is just 3 levels. And then they have the other one, Dark Waters, which is probably going to be 3 levels as well, which is pretty cool. I don't mind that for that really. It's still really fun. Um, I do wish that they had a because I don't necessarily enjoy the managing the mental health of your team aspect of it. It's a little like it could be just it just doesn't like I get it. That's what they're going for. I get the system that they're doing. I understand it. It's okay. Yeah. Your police officers. I totally get it. I don't particularly enjoy that system of the game, because you're just like, oh well, once you get to like you fill all this out, you're just switching people out. It's not really there's not real. It just seems like a strange mechanic. I'm just switching people out. Like I'm like, okay, I'm just switching now. And then I've never really enjoyed certain games where they force you to play a certain way. They really want you to. They're forcing you to arrest people, essentially. Because it'll negatively affect your team if you're just constantly killing them. The bad guys who are shooting at you, and so it's just really forcing you to play. With beanbags or tasers or pepper spray, and they don't really give you that freedom to play with how you want to play. It's essentially there's like, oh, if you're playing with AI teams, you have to play in a way that's really restrained, and it kind of sucks. It's a system I don't particularly enjoy. I understand it, and I play it, and I don't think it's a mark against the game. It's not a system I enjoy. I do like I guess for me I do like the terrorist hunt modes, which is this whole game, which is you're just, hunting bad guys and arresting them. And, I get that some missions do require you to do that, which makes, total sense for the game. Just not the managing the mental health part of it. Just like, I'm just, okay, I'll switch you out with this guy. And you have the option to fire them, which I'm like, where does this really come in? Like to affect anything really, and you replace them with somebody who looks just like them, so there's really no attachment to these AI teammates because you're just like, well, you're swapping them out like parts. Just real quick question: do you prefer to play with real teammates or AI teammates? I think for me personally, I enjoy the AI teammates, and a game like Ready or Not, I think they do it really well. And I'd love to see more. But what's your take? Do you prefer the real people, jumping into those quick start lobbies, or do you enjoy the AI side of these? Just let me know. Yeah, this game has an awesome flow to it. I feel that you have games like this, Ready or Not, you have Insurgency, the really slow, heavy paced type of first person shooters. And there's just I think there's such a need for these type of games. And even though there's certain element, but no, I don't believe any game is really perfect. Every game's going to have its issues. But these games, I think I want more of these types of games on console, which can be hard. But the fact that they even attempted to do it, and they did, it's still like I still appreciate that they did that. That the developers did that too for this game, and I'm just a big fan of these tactical shooters, and I do wish there was more. They have a lot, like they have a good bit of customization to what you could wear and things like that. I just, I feel that I think that they could do more. Just face masks and just to add more, just more to it. They they have a good start and things like that, but there's some things that I thought were missing. And personally, I enjoy like face coverings and things like that for when I think of SWAT in any movie that I've seen. Or or just TV and things like that. They would have their faces covered with like a balaclava or something. And I was like, hey, they don't even have that option here. I was like, that's odd, but it's fine. It's just a little, it is really no big deal. But this game is fun. It has so many things, like ways to go about it. I think if I had to say, how would you really fix some of these things? It can be difficult, and I think that's what's hard because of the nature of the game. It's what they built it around is the many, the two teams, and then all of you together can be, there's so many things you could do in this game that I could see that it can be difficult. But I don't think I'd want them to change much of the options. I think I'd rather struggle on a console controller. I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with struggling through the menus on the console controller, or trying to figure out all this menu stuff while I'm getting shot at or whatever. I think the person or the development team that finally this is what I was thinking. I was like, the development team that figures out how to do voice commands in a game like this, it's gonna, with AI companion, like AI teammates, it's gonna be awesome because it'd be so much faster. I don't know the difficulties in that. I don't know. I don't know how that would affect the game, or it may be really hard. But I think when they figure that out, how in the future, whoever does it, maybe not this development team, but a development team that figures out voice commands for your teammates is gonna do great. A game like this, like with voice commands, it would flow so much smoother. I mean, if you think about it, right? Not having to click through a menu, but just voice commands. Blue team here at this store. Like, you know what I mean? It would be a lot smoother. I wonder if that's even possible. I've seen one game, Tom Clancy's End War, that used voice commands. That was for like I think it was an RTS. They used voice commands. And I don't remember them doing it like really well, but it does work, I don't know how it would translate into the first person shooter, because I think it would work, but in theory, right? But in actual programming and coding, I have no idea how that would work. I'm just a dreamer, I guess, to see voice commands in a game like this. It would be awesome. It would make console players, it would be available for console players to be a lot easier for us to play it. Not that, pressing through menus is a big issue, but it would be faster, because you're having to make a lot of decisions quickly. It could make something a lot faster. And, without having to press buttons, and even some of them not working. It's just a dream, I guess. It's a dreamer's vision for a tactical shooter like this. Because, you can play with real people, and maybe they'll listen to you. I'm pretty sure they do well, but when you just want to play with AI teammates, and have them play the way that you want them to play as the commander, without having to switch through all these menus, it's just very clear, red team here, flashbang. This, just if you play the game, you understand what I'm saying. But this is a very, very awesome game. I don't really play very tactfully sometimes, but it's just this game is a lot of fun, and I think I would ask you what your favorite tactical shooter is. Were you a fan of Rainbow Six back in the day, or maybe Ghost Recon? You were a fan of that game back when when it first came out. Ghost Recon, Future Soldier, I think was the most memorable one for me. Was that one? I had a lot of fun playing that one, and I always thought that the Tom Clancy, franchise was, just always cool with the gear, with I always thought they were trying to push, the boundaries of their games, and when it comes to gameplay, they tried to, with, when it came to, Ghost Recon, or not Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six Vegas, with the third person, first person switch. So when you would take cover, you'd be in third person, but then it switched to first person when you get out of cover, which was really cool. I thought back in the day it was pretty cool. And I'd always thought that was an awesome part. And, then Ghost Recon Future Soldier, just the amount of customization and, just the kind of, light show of LEDs that you would see on your character or their gun was pretty cool too. And then the most recent was Breakpoint. I think I liked Ghost Recon Wildlands and Breakpoint, and I wish they would made another story. I like the whole the open world. I think I'm split. I wouldn't mind a linear story, or if they choose to do open world, it wouldn't matter to me. I don't mind either. But and when it comes to the Tom Clancy stuff, it's always been, to me, very grounded. And like what I believe Ready or Not is doing, is what I believe Tom Clancy's genre is, what they pushed so far beyond into wherever the boonies for this one. It's just, I have no idea what the Tom Clancy franchise is doing nowadays, but it seems like it missed this. Ready or Not's doing what the Tom Clancy franchise used to do, and Ready or Not's doing it really well, and it's really fun, and it's still playable, and so it's kind of left. Even games like Insurgency, which isn't like super popular, and these type of games aren't necessary. They don't really they don't explode, because the developers aren't, super well known or whatever it is, and so they just don't, maybe they don't have the marketing budget, but it's always been so much fun to just see, these tactical shooters still make it to the consoles, because they're all over the place on PC, on PC. So maybe that's just what I'm trying to talk about. Is when it comes to the console market, there's not a lot of tactical shooters, really heavy grounded ones. There's just not a lot, and when you look at PC, there's more than you can shake a stick at, for sure. There's definitely a community on the PC players, but for us consoles, it's just not so present. But it's still, I think it's needed. I think it's needed. These games are, they're very. They can be niche, but because of their difficulty, it can turn people away. I think, the pace of a game is what makes it fun, but it may not be what some people want. And so they turn away from it, because you're not always, shooting at somebody. You're not always, killing somebody, or maybe it's your teammates that are doing it, and it can be like the health. There's no real like, I don't get to get a shot of a med kit and then I'm fully healed. It's like you carry that health with you throughout the entire game. So, which is, I think, is important, because it really, you kind of have to share that load between you and your teammates. Is It's like, all right, I'm not doing so well on health. I need you to go first, which is, kind of divvies up the work really well instead of, somebody just, stimming the whole time and then they can carry the entire game, which, it's, in these types of games, really, it relies heavily on teamwork and it works the best that way. So, but that's about all I wanted to say. And, I'm enjoying this game, and I'm pretty sad that I'm already almost finished with the campaign of it, and it doesn't really change much from there. So, but all right, and that's it for me.